Ira Epstein of Linn and Associates with your SPDR ETF wrap-up for this Tuesday, the 31st of August, 2021 at 5:50 p.m. Central Time. Well, we saw the president come out today, and he made his speech trying to convince the American public he did wrong. Where he's missed the boat completely is, I don't think we're arguing we should have withdrawn from Afghanistan. He seems to be spending an inordinate amount of time on that. Why? Under Trump we were getting out, under him we're getting out. The difference were the times and how it was done. He's not addressing that in any manner, and that's going to be his downfall. We have to address that part. We left people behind. We never leave people behind. But now we're going to go find them, and we're going to count on the Taliban, and 100 nations have their word that that's it. Nonsense to all that. And I hope the Taliban are a different organization. You should hope that. You should hope that they don't want the terrorists there. I don't know what's going to be, but I know I'm not buying into what President Biden said, and I respect him. Just not buying into it. We have the OPEC Plus meeting taking place tomorrow, and then after that, the all-important jobs data report on Friday morning. So that'll be it. What do I mean by that? Monday, the markets are closed. So traders are getting ready now for their Labor Day holiday. A lot of traders have already gone. They've wrapped it up. The kids are back in school or about to go back in school. I'm of the opinion that we'll be looking in the month of September that we'll have peaked in the COVID cases. The other thing that's happening, and nobody's talking about it, if we're getting 150,000 cases a day of COVID or whatever the number is, right? If those people don't end up in the hospital, aren't they building antibodies in some manner against catching COVID again? It's not the same as a vaccine, I get it, but it's still progress being made. Nobody's mentioning that at all. When we take a look at ARK, I thought the market was getting a little excessive in price. One-day correction proves nothing. The market's gotten lower and low, higher high. The market had gotten up to the 200-day average, and that's why I thought that. Pullbacks in the market should be interesting here. You know, if the market were to just take out today's high tomorrow, you could have higher lows. You already have the higher high. So I get what the setup is. Support, if it breaks down, could be the 119.91 level, under that 118.21. And we're still fairly far away from the upper Bollinger Band and the lower. So that's how I'm viewing that part. Momentum is overbought. I'm going to repeat, I think the pros took a lot of money off the table on the first challenge of the 200-day average if they were long. In Apple, you hit the upper Bollinger Band. I said it yesterday. I'll say it again today. When you hit that in an overbought condition, it's often an area where traders take money off the table. But let's understand, Apple is hitting new highs on this move very quietly. It is in a bull trend. It is overbought, but in a bull trend, and the weekly charts look pretty good as well. In PAVE, I'm not expecting much. I think President Biden is hurting his party and himself each time he speaks. I don't think he takes what Ron, and I don't think he really understands what the American public is upset about. They're not upset about pulling out of Afghanistan. They're upset about the way it was done, and his program, which is the construction, reconstruction, infrastructure bills, I think they're suffering. And the odds of getting them through, I don't know. And we have elections coming up, and that could change how the Democratic stronghold on the House of Representatives goes. But on this chart, you're still in an uptrend, but you're terribly overbought. You didn't quite make it to the upper band, and I said that. I said you're overbought. You have to study what window envelopes are. And on the window envelope part, this market ran into that wall. In the industrial sector, the market is in an uptrend, higher lows, higher highs. I do think that the pros are buying the market on this break. 104.16 is an area I think of interest to them. But if you get under 103.99, what happens is you break the bull pattern. You'll no longer have higher lows, higher highs, and I think that is the number that'll get the trade out of the market. Do I think they're buying the market yet? No. Why? What's the reading in the slow stochastic? I teach, it doesn't mean I'm right, but I teach that any reading over 70 you're not a buyer. If it wants to embed, when you get both numbers above or below 80 or 20, I'm interested. But it generally in this market doesn't happen. You generally get overbought and you get oversold, but you don't embed often. Got it? Know the market you're trading, important. So do I think they're going to reach out? I have my doubts. In the semiconductor ETF, well, this is one of the markets where I think you got up high enough for the pros to take money off the table. Now, if it wants to embed, they'll come back in. Both numbers were over 80 today, so we'll count that as one of the days you need. Yesterday, both numbers were over 80. There's the second day. Friday, they weren't. Tomorrow determines if the market embeds, so I patiently wait like this. Okay, got some money to deploy. Will it be in that market? You're waiting to see what it does. Potash, I considered this a bounce in an overall market that is still in the bear camp. Today's high of 1058 did not take out 1063. Momentum's turning up. You can see the resistance. You don't need my help to see that. Ever since the market back here in June got underneath the 18-day average of closes, it's not been able to get back and stay over it. You've had bounces to it that are resistance points. Again, classic what I teach in my charting course. You come off a low, that is often the resistance point. Come off a high, it's often a support point. It didn't do it that way this time. Market's been under a lot of pressure and can stay that way. In the home builders ETF, you're very overbought. You hit the upper Bollinger Bands. I think the pros took money off the table. Simple. I think they're looking to reposition. I don't know where that's at because you have a lower low, higher high scenario. It has not been a trend. In the energy sector, game on, right at the 18-day average of closes. You are not in an overbought condition. You've had the higher lows, higher highs. Should the market take out 47.95, the bull run here is over. Would have to rebuild it. Until that happens, I think the pros are buying right here against that number, ultimately looking to see if they can get to 50.86. But do remember, if you're in that energy spider and you got an OPEC meeting tomorrow, how will that impact everything? I happen to think OPEC's not going to change their course of action. It doesn't make sense. The members want to produce a bit more oil for their own coffers, and oil is high enough to get that done and maybe not do a lot of destruction to price. But supply should be coming back. EFA, the emerging market, I like what I'm seeing here. The higher lows, the higher highs. You did have today an outside day to the downside. So if you want to see if you can get a supercharger play out of this, I think if the market gets over today's high of 80.84, that's where you're going to see the pros step in looking for the Bollinger Band. This pullback right here just could lead back, I think, to 80.39. I'm quite interested in the looks of that market. My whole analysis is wrong if you get under 79.85. Gold, you're right into the resistance area that we talked about. How many times have you heard me say, I'm very concerned about being right here at those numbers. Now, if it can pick up and not get under today's low and take out today's high, it's the same play. You have another outside day like you did here, but just the reversal of it. This one would be a play that I think the pros are buying over today's high. If it gets then, after they get in, under today's low, I think they'll come out of the market. It is overbought. Can it embed? Both numbers were over 80 today. Both were over 80 yesterday, not Friday. Yes, tomorrow could be the day, and typically I don't like to come in on a third day, and I'm not telling you to buy or sell, I'm telling you what I think the pros are doing. Wrong air there. But I think the market, if it gets over that, will be quite interesting as a play. We'll see if the pros do anything. I'll remember that one for tomorrow. Not seeing anything in the gold miners. They're sitting. They're trying to be in an uptrend. They need the gold to make the move here. But I think they get capped at wherever the upper Bollinger Band comes in on this. That'll drop again tomorrow. Then we get to TLT, where you had another outside day down. So you got lower highs, lower lows, which is bearish. However, you're not closing under the 18-day average, so the bias is to the upside. The two fight each other. I have nothing, and I have flat momentum in the market. Last in the euro currency, in unison, you're coming up. By the way, here's that outside day. you kept going to the upside, and that just set the market going right with it. What do you do the first time you hit an upper Bollinger Band when you're overbought? You already know. So with that, I'm Ira Epstein. You have a good day, and I'll see you all tomorrow.